Hello class, as promised, I'm recording a video to kind of give you some general feedback for your concept paper and explain the process for your final concept paper. So I'm in our course and I'm going into content, and you'll note at the very bottom I created a new module, content paper draft final, and you'll see that there are 3 files in here. And so I'm going to start with the first file. I'm going to download it. It's a Word document, which gives you some general feedback. Then the second file I'm going to download is a table summary of reviewer comments and correction, which is what you will be preparing for your final concept paper. And the last file I am downloading, it's just a compilation of items that I collected from JETA articles to show the style of writing that I'll go over and hopefully help you try to improve the writing on some of these papers. So let's go with our concept paper, general feedback. First, I'm going to request that you not turn in PDF files for your final drafts, to turn in Word documents. I don't want to grade PDF files because in the Word document I can track changes, I can do comments, and a lot easier than in PDF. Also, I would request that you label your file last name, first name, so that way I have a record of it, and then concept paper final. So last name, comma, first name, or last name, first name, concept paper final. One point that I noticed is that all papers should be in APA format with correct headings, tables formatted, and double spaced. So just get in the habit of doing that, because there's a lot of you that are just doing single space. The APA headings aren't in APA format, so it's just a good practice because your dissertation will have to be in that format more likely than not. Another recommendation is your citations. Not everyone, but citations are incorrect throughout, and at this point, that's unacceptable. You need to invest the time to learn EndNote or learn any reference citation software, whatever you need to make it correct. So a note, I see a lot of people entering the word "and" in in-text citations. No, it's PAS and then 2018. If you're doing it in just the formatting of it, like then you would have to, this would be okay if your year is afterwards, but this would be all in in-text format, like PAS, 2018, or PAS and Creo, 2018. Also, periods are at the end of the citation, not before. So here you see a period at the end of the sentence, and afterwards, no, the period at the end of the sentence needs to be removed. So make sure your citations are in APA 6 format. If you haven't invested in the APA 6 book, I highly recommend it, because several of you are making a lot of silly mistakes in that, and so you don't want that for your dissertation. So you need to make sure you have a DOI number for your citations, and you need to make sure you have retrieved from. For books, you need to have a publisher and a place of publishing. You do not number citations, so definitely check out the APA 6th handbook and note the spacing on the citations. Again, I recommend EndNote, learn it, use it. It's unacceptable to have citation errors at this late game. At this point in the game, you have a tool, you just need to invest the time and do your citations correctly. So if I reviewed your paper previously, make sure that all of my comments are addressed. So if I told you to state the hypothesis in the null format, then do it, and then this is where you will use the table format for addressing the comments. So let me bring that up as well so you can see that. So this table is actually what I used for my JETA paper for my review comments. So you can, it's just just a format. You don't have to use it identically. You can change it. I really don't care as long as you're detailing what you're doing. So obviously you're not going to have a journal. It's going to be your concept paper, but basically whatever comment I noted, you want to make sure that you tell me how you addressed it, or if you have not yet addressed it, or what you're coming towards. I've seen some papers multiple times and it's the same paper, just marginal changes. No. So that's what you're going to do here. So basically this was just, sounds more like an advertisement than a piece of research, was like the paper writing style. And some of you have that in your concept papers. So that's why I did this compilation, but I'll get to that. So basically for your final concept paper, you are going to write my review comments here and show how you changed it or how you addressed it. Now, I understand that not all review comments will be addressed. So if you haven't expanded the literature enough, or if you have just a particular article, but this is kind of like our communication document between the draft and the final to show at least your work towards your concept paper. So hopefully that helps. So you're going to do this as a revise and resubmit for the journal. Right now, the lit reviews should end with a hypothesis, or at least I should know your research question. And some of that is not evident in your writing. Methodology seems to be the weakest area that is developed, and lit review. And so I don't know how you can have a concept or a research problem without reviewing the literature. And this is where most students are struggling because you're not reviewing the literature. So my review comments are not an aspect of, let's say, an audit where it's the partner and they have review comments and you're trying to tick them off. This isn't something you can do in a day or two unless you're devoting a majority of the day to it, 10 or 12 hours. So my comments are more to get you thinking about your topic and your concept paper and also how to work with it. But without a thorough literature review and without analyzing the previous research out there, I don't see how your problem is a contribution to the literature. So that to me is mind-boggling, how we can have a concept without a lit review. So be careful with that. So lit review needs a lot of work. It's evident if you don't have a fully developed lit review. So if you only have seminal works like, years 1952, 1967, and then you only have one current work, that's not enough. And hence why you're struggling to narrow down your topic. So has your data source been used in another study? Have your variables been used in another study? This will help you kind of determine what data and what variables by reviewing the literature. So, and the literature is what provides you the guidance to show your contribution and narrow down your research paper. I know I'm beating that to death, but I've reviewed your papers and some of you have done a fabulous job and others need a bit of work. So I don't see how you can turn around my comments in a day, as I mentioned earlier, especially on the methodology and the expansion of literature. That takes some thought, and it's not merely ticking a box. That's just not acceptable. And so this is your topic, and this is your opportunity to develop and dissect it and see what just hasn't been done. So it's your effort of work, right? If your work is B work, then that's what you'll get. If it shows significant progress, you will get an A. I know several of you have mentioned, well, I want an A in this class. That's up to you. It depends on how much effort you can put into it and how much you're going to do towards that. So the lit review has to be extensive. You just can't list one or two articles. It has to be a comprehensive, not a cursory review. And you need to spend time to do that, not just mark off a comment. Because if you just mark off a comment, that's fine. That's your choice. But that will be B work, not A work. So your final versions, you need to decide what you're going to do based on my comments, not just add to my comments. No, you need to, this is your literature, this is your love, this is what you want to do. So you need to make sure that whatever decision you make, the literature is leading you towards that. So if you need to, you're going to submit this actual kind of summary. So you're going to use that table format, and I'll go over any questions you have on Saturday in class regarding it. Another item I found is several of you shared with me your surveys, which is fabulous. I'm just recommending a 5-point Likert scale because that's typically what we do in accounting. But if your area of discipline is not accounting, then you might want to check with the literature in marketing or management. Another item I found is you can't copy tables from other sources without permission. So I recommend you create your own tables, obviously in APA format, and you create your tables and you make sure that you have the references. So in this case here, we see a lot of definitions from other sources. Well, you would need to have that in your citation list and also kind of show which definition you're adopting for ERM. And then you can't just put this table in here. You need to have a citation at the bottom to show it, and you can't really copy a table unless you have permission. So those were just general comments from the papers that I received. And so basically, just to summarize, you are going to do a similar summary table as such, where the reviewer comment, this would be like my comment, Dr. Paz's comment, and then also how you are correcting that, or what you've done, what work you've done towards that. And I understand not all comments can be addressed if you're actually doing it properly, right? So if you only have 3 weeks, I understand that, but at least if you're dissecting the literature and you're kind of looking towards it and seeing what you want to do. The last document that I gave you was this, when I got the JEDA Revise and Resubmit, which is how this table became about, I actually started reading journals, articles within JEDA, because that was a publication of choice. I understand this is your concept paper, so that would be, you know, a whole bunch of journals, but maybe you should definitely probably look at your A1 and A2 journals in your area of discipline and kind of see how the wording is for the abstract, how the contribution is, how the tables are formatted, what data is being used, how the results are given, and prior literature and the hypotheses, and just see the writing. Several pieces of paper gave me a lot of conversational writing, several passive voice, not an active voice, and just not the way that we write for journals. And so the paper writing style is also, or for dissertation. So you may want to look at that. I also recommend possibly looking at dissertations and finding 3 essay dissertations out there in ProQuest as well. So hopefully this was helpful. Any questions you have, we'll address on Saturday's class. Thanks.